A warm good morning to the August gathering. If you are searching for a community united by its love of learning and grooming your persona, it's time for you to join us at Imprint, the 10 days online soft skills certificate course, which is designed in a customized way to shape the inner and the outer being in a person with organized pattern of behavior that makes a person distinctive in their upcoming personal as well as corporate lives. With this vision, the five cluster institution Center for Literary Interaction and Creativity Nagpur, Manohar Kamri Mahavidyalaya Nagpur, Rajkumar Keval Ramani Kanya Mahavidyalaya Nagpur, Green Heaven Institute of Management and Research, and Anjuman Girls Degree College Nagpur organize Imprint, a 10 days online soft skills certificate course to enrich the various aspects of soft skills and to shape the individuals in achieving their pursuits. I, Dr. Minakshi Vasnik, coordinator of this program, on behalf of the cluster institution, welcome you all in this mega event. The meticulously designed framework of this program comprises of an outstanding compendium of 10 different prodigious presentations dealing with a diverse slate of dynamic, charismatic, renowned, and eminent faculties from different institutions of Nagpur University, Nagpur. This soft skill program has been developed to enable the participant to understand the world in a liberal sense and to take it forward for a better tomorrow. At the very outset, I heartily welcome the organizer of the program, Honorable Dr. Pranoti Chakravarti Madam, President CLIC, respected Dr. Usha Sakure Madam, Principal Manohar Kamri Mahavidyalaya Nagpur, respected Dr. Urmila Dabir Madam, Principal Rajkumar Keval Ramani Kanya Mahavidyalaya Nagpur, respected Dr. Anil Kumar, Director Green Heaven Institute of Management and Research Nagpur, and respected Dr. Anjum Ara Khan, Principal Anjuman Girls Degree College Nagpur. I extend my hearty welcome to the coordinators of the program, Dr. Madhavi Mohril, Dr. Rajni Kumar, and Dr. Deepthi Thakre Madam in this August gathering. I find immense pleasure in introducing to our today's very eminent resource person, Dr. Nandita Mane. Dr. Nandita Mane is an assistant professor, Department of English, Matra Seva Sangh Institute of Social Work, Nagpur. Madam has been honored to be invited as a resource person at various certificate courses on soft skill program. She is an examiner of communication skills and personality development of RTMNU's Department of Distance and Adult Continuing Education. She is associated with Shakespearean Society of Central India and Center for Literary Interaction and Creativity. Today, Madam will deliver her insightful presentation on the topic empathy development. Over to Nandita ma'am.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Am I audible, everyone?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes. So, good morning to all the participants. And it's a pleasure to address to you all on this morning. And the topic I've been given is empathy development. So, this topic, empathy, I think this is a very, very important and crucial topic for today's era. Uh, I think in this materialistic world, the feelings, emotions, sympathy, empathy, these are all vanishing away. And it is our duty to protect, preserve these emotions, these attributes, and to work on it. So, empathy. By empathy, what do we mean? It means that we need to empathize with people. It is our ability to take on another's perspective, to understand, feel, share, and respond to the experience. And this is very rare these days. So, viewing or giving importance to another people's perspective, to understand them, that's very crucial. Empathy is caring for other people and having a desire to help them. So it also involves experiencing emotions that match another person's. Very often people confuse with sympathy and empathy. Sympathy would just mean that you feel for them. But empathizing means you place yourself in their position and then feel their pain. So there's a world of difference between these two emotions. So empathy these days is a very, very required emotion. It is discerning what other person is thinking or feeling. So we need to also get in place ourselves in their position and to introspect how they feel, what they share, what they experience. It also means making less distinct the differences between the self and the other. So then you can't say I am separate from the other person. You have to be one with that person. So this is empathy. So empathy is not to be confused with sympathy. It is also a little different from compassion and pity. So empathy is a very, very different emotion. Now, why do you think we should develop this empathy? Well, developing empathy is very important because we all live in a community, and community living requires fostering of empathy. It strengthens your bond with the people you interact with. Now, it also encompasses people you work with, you live with, you interact with. Since man is a sociable animal, he has to deal with other human beings. And with this era of digital technology, we are constantly in touch with the cell phone, with the media, and that human aspect of us is vanishing away. So we need to bring that back, isn't it? When we are on social media, or when we are interacting to people uh, through technology, the emotional aspect of that thing is negligible. So it is high time we need to bring them back. So that is why empathy is all the more required in today's generation and age. We need a strong social support network. And research shows that if you have a strong social support network, it tends to increase a person's happiness. Empathy leads to better emotions. It is a key component to building a more satisfying life. So, see, this is the whole point of our existence on this earth is to make our life better, and not just our lives better, to make other people's lives better. So, through empathy, we not only make our lives better, but we also make the lives of other people better. Empathy is also important because it motivates pro-social behavior. Now, what do I mean by pro-social behavior? That means empathy can motivate you to take actions to improve the lives of other people. Empathy is also important diffusing conflicts, bitter arguments, and various things. Now, let us focus on types of empathy. Now, there'll be many books and websites which will be dealing with whole range of different types of empathy, but I think we should concentrate on three main types of empathy. Now, what are these three main types of empathy? The first is cognitive empathy. So the three types of empathy which we'll be dealing are, first I would mention the cognitive empathy, second would be emotional empathy, and third would be compassionate empathy. Now I will deal with each type of empathy one by one. Now, cognitive empathy, it is also known as perspective taking. This kind of empathy is more rational. It is empathy by thought rather than feeling. It is in this also you place yourself in other people's position, but you don't engage, you don't necessarily engage with the emotions. You just place yourself and observe. So the emotional part is not present in cognitive empathy. It is more rational. It is empathy by thought, as I said. It does not fit with the definition of empathy which we know. So this is also one kind of empathy. Now, second, emotional empathy. Now, this is different from cognitive because cognitive was by thought, but emotional empathy means emotive empathy. Emotions are involved. So this is the kind of empathy which we really know. So Here we place ourselves, we feel the emotions, their pains. It is also known as personal distress or emotional contagion. So this is emotional empathy. But the problem here is we can be too much emotional. We can be over emotional. So that is a little danger. And in cognitive empathy, the danger is there is less of emotion. So it is cognitive empathy is under emotional, emotional empathy is over emotional. But there is a third kind of empathy which is very important, and our focus for today would be this third kind of empathy, which is compassionate empathy. Now, this means we not only empathize with the person, our feelings are involved, but with the feeling, we take action. So the whole point of empathizing is to take action. So this is action oriented empathy. I hope I'm audible to everyone and everybody is able to understand, because I cannot see your faces. I can just see blocks and your name written. So if you all can respond in between or say something, it would be helpful. Am I audible? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yes. So, as I was saying, this third kind of empathy, compassionate empathy, so it is action oriented. So, first kind of empathy, cognitive empathy, was just empathy by thought. You just observe, you place yourself, and no emotions involved. In emotional empathy, emotions are involved, but you don't take action. You just feel for them. So, just feeling for somebody is half the work done. So when we understand the people's pain, we need to take action to alleviate that pain, to help them uh, remove the distress. So this is compassionate empathy. So empathetic action is doing part of empathy. It goes simply beyond understanding other and sharing their feelings. It actually moves us to take action to help however we can. Now, the situation might be different for everyone. You might come across a person who might require a different kind of help. So depending on the situation, you need to take action. So there is no set formula, because we are dealing with emotions. We are dealing with different kinds of human beings. Now, the kind of people you interact with depends on the kind of social circle you move in with. Okay, so this compassionate empathy brings the correct balance. So cognitive empathy, which is under emotional, emotional empathy, which is over emotional. So compassionate empathy gives us a perfect balance. So let me summarize. These are the three stages of empathy. Cognitive empathy is being aware of the emotional state of another person. Emotional empathy is engaging with and sharing those emotions. Compassionate empathy involves taking action to support other people. So you need to work on compassionate empathy. So thoughts, feelings, and actions. So if you can jot down these points: thoughts, feelings, and actions. These are three parts of empathy, and practicing true empathy requires all these three parts. Now, some people also define two other types of empathy. I will just make a reference on it, but we will not dwell on it. There is something called somatic empathy, SOMATIC, somatic empathy, which is feeling someone else's physical pain, not emotional, physical pain. So that is somatic. And there is also a spiritual empathy. So physical and spiritual. It is defined as a direct connection with a higher being or consciousness. It is the same as enlightenment in the Eastern philosophical tradition and considers to be achievable through meditation. So these are the two empathy which we will just make a passing remark. But the three types of above empathy which I said wasn't are the three kind of empathy we need to focus on. Now let's come to the crux of the matter: how to develop empathy. So this is where you have to really pay attention to. I will give you 4 to 5 points. So each point we will discuss, and later on we can have a small discussion, and you can tell me which point you feel more comfortable you can help, or have you ever come across where you have actually helped somebody. So um, my the presentation my presentation, I will focus now on how to develop or how to build empathy. So first is embrace your vulnerability. This is the first aspect, first point. Embrace your vulnerability. You means the person who wants to empathize with others. Now, why do you think this is important? Embracing your vulnerability. Why is it important? Because being empathetic requires you to make yourself vulnerable. See, we are not iron made, we are not ironclad. We also have emotions, we also have feelings. So we don't have to hide behind those emotions. If you do not address your emotions, you will not be able to help someone else's emotions. So you have to make an assessment of your own emotions. That means first you need to address and accept and acknowledge to yourself first that you also are vulnerable to a lot of things. You have gone through various issues and you have come out winner or whatever. That means you are also vulnerable. So if you are vulnerable, if you have experienced those emotions, you can very well understand the other person's emotions. We cannot hide behind an air of indifference. Okay, so you have to speak up to your loved ones. You have to tell them, you have to address your issues. So this is the first part, embracing your own vulnerability. Got it? The first part is embracing your own vulnerability. Now, various people can deal with this in various ways. There is no set pattern that this is how you have to address. Each to his own. And I said, when we deal with the world of emotions, there are no set patterns, set formula. Everything depends on the kind of people you are or the kind of people you associate with. Now, after embracing your vulnerability, I think you are in a position to understand. So now the second part of how to develop empathy would be practice listening skills. Now, in this component, there are various small layers involved to it. So it is not just listening. Uh, Okay, so practice listening skills. And I think listening is a very important aspect, which I've come across that people have stopped listening to others. When somebody is talking to you, we half the time are ignorant, are unaware of what he's saying, not paying attention, or we are forming our own sentence to what to say after that person finishes. So I think we need to stop that. We need to really practice listening, and this is a very difficult thing, giving importance, attention to what is being said, whether it's a classroom, whether you're talking to a friend, whether you're talking to your parents, anyway. If somebody's talking to you, you need to listen. So you can't put yourself in another person's shoes if you're unwilling to hear what they have to say. That's why listening skills are a vital part of building empathy. And you will need to go beyond just pretending to be listening. These days, we are just pretending to be listening, but we are not actually listening. You have to aim to listen so intently that you gain an understanding of the person's situations, views, and emotions. So you have to practice that listening skills. And if you have not done this, I think you should start right now, first by listening to my presentation. So how do we practice listening skill is the first layer of it is you have to identify and remove barriers to listening. You have to know what are your barriers. What is keeping you away from listening? First, you have to pay attention to that. So it can be like you are stressed out. You yourself are having harder time, and that's why you're not listening to other person. So you have to address those stress remarks, stress bust. You can be stressed with, say, you've got a toothache or you have to meet a deadline. So whatever is going in your mind, you have to first relieve that. You have to first solve that. Then only you can listen to other person. At least for that moment, you have to shun away all the worry in the world that is going on in your mind, and you have to pay attention to that person. Another common barrier is multitasking. These days, we think we can do multitasking. Of course, I'm not against multitasking, but in some places, multitasking is not required, not relevant, and not at all recommended. Uh, like you're listening at the same time, you're doing something else. If you're on the phone, you're listening, you're on the phone, you're driving, So calling and driving, of course, that is hazardous, even in terms of road safety, that is not good. So we are all the time multitasking. With one thing, we are also doing parallel several other things. So we need to also stop. See, the situation where you empathize with person is not, it doesn't come across to you every day. Not every person who comes to talk to you needs your empathy. But there are in special occasions, certain occasions. So you have to realize this is a special occasion and I need to give my 100% attention to that person. And third barrier to listening is, first I told you, is something going on in your mind. Second, multitasking. The third barrier is interruption. We tend to interrupt. The person is saying something and we tend to interrupt, or we tend to say something else. No, let that person finish. When you cut off people, you not only interrupt the train of thought, you but also risk misunderstanding. Okay. And the third part is when you're listening to other person, you start forming opinions, judgments. So don't do that. You have to withhold your judgment. You may agree with, you may disagree, but reserve your judgment. Let that person speak. Let him complete it. Then give some time to yourself to uh, analyze what is being said. And the most important part is you have to let the other person know that you are listening. You have to make him realize that you are listening. Otherwise, if somebody's talking and you are just looking here and there, that will not do. And after being said, you have to provide feedback so that the person, you have to say some concluding remarks so that that person knows that he's being listened to. And this listening scale, since I teach in a social work college, so our students, we train them to become social workers. So they have to go to field work and they have to, they go to community and there they meet people with some social issue, some problem. So they are called the clients. So when they deal with the clients, so listening skill becomes very important. So in our college, social work, the students of social work, this is a big area, listening skills. And this, there is a huge part empathy that plays. So it's not necessary that a person who is doing social work has to require this. Every person does some social work at his or her level. So this listening skill becomes very, very important, very, very crucial. Um, Now, after this, there is another thing. After listening skill, the third area point where you can develop empathy is learn to read body language. So here, the first, the previous part was listening to the verbal sentences, verbal messages. Now, to develop an empathy, you also have to understand, read the body language. That means the non-verbal cues. Non-verbal, these are not verbalized. And this involves keen observation on your part. Earlier you were listening, you just had to pay attention to their words. But here, when he is speaking, you also have to pay attention to the body language. Okay, listening isn't just about receiving verbal messages. People also convey information about their emotional state through non-verbal body cues. The ability to read body languages is useful in all sorts of situations. Perhaps your friend who frequently says, I'm doing okay, but you can tell from his sullen expression that something is wrong. Or maybe you can gauge a date, maybe you can gauge his, from his facial expression, his eye contact. So now, what are those non-verbal cues? We will deal with it one by one. Okay. First comes the facial expression. So you have to observe the facial expression. There are frowns, there are grins, hesitant smile, so many things that can convey the mood, the depth of pain that person is going through. There's so many things, and I don't think so. You need You're required to undergo some course to do that. We've been brought up since childhood to deal with these things, isn't it? We don't need any crash course on how to read nonverbal or bodily or body language. We know it. When we are talking to some person, you can make out whether he's distressed, somebody is happy, somebody is sad, somebody is okay. You can find out the facial expression. Second is eye contact. Second is eye contact. A person's eyes might be aimed at whatever they're focused on. Wide eyes can convey excitement. You have to see how the eyes, they're going bigger, small, how the pupils dilate. Drooping eyelids might imply that the person is tired or calm or just not interested. So bodily languages tell you a lot. Then the third thing comes as voice. A person's vocal tone can tell you if they are joking or being serious. The speed at which they talk can convey confidence or nervousness. So when the person speaks, you have to pay attention to the tone, pitch, speed, so many things. And of course, if you're sitting and talking, the posture also tells so many things. The body can be stiff, tense shoulders. That means he's apprehensive. Relaxed shoulders and slouching posture might be a sign that the person is at ease or bored. The posture you have to pay attention to. Gestures, hands. Lack of hand gestures may indicate shyness or discomfort. Someone who's feeling relaxed and friendly might use the hands more. The speed and intensity of the gestures can also convey aggression or excitement. So there are lots of things. And how you maintain your eye contact with them, that also plays an important role. So being aware of your own body language. So you also, when you're talking to someone, you have to be aware of how you are sitting and listening to. What kind of body language are you, what messages are you conveying through your body language? So remember that your non-verbal cues are also conveying messages to people around you. If you're disinterested, that will show through your body. That other person will not say much on it. He will feel that there's no one to listen. First, in the first place, that person is distressed. And if we do not pay attention or give the kind of attention they need, he might be, he might go into more depression. So if you're sitting with your arms crossed and looking away from the other person, they might take that as a sign that you don't want to talk. So if you want to encourage the person to engage with you, use positive cues such as a gentle smile, relax eye contact, project warmth, learn. So this was the second part. Third part. First was your embracing your vulnerabilities. Second was practice listening skills. The third was observing non-verbal, that means by body language. So these are the three things. Now we come to the fourth part where you can develop your empathy, you can build your empathy. So improving emotional intelligence. I hope everyone is with me. If you would like to comment on something till now I've said, you can share your experiences. Whether I think Jyoti would like to say something. Yes, Jyoti would like to say something. Your hands are raised. I think Jyoti does not want to share right now. But after I finish this presentation, we can have a short discussion and we can work out on a model. We can have, if you're interested, we can have two people uh, enacting how to develop empathy, and you can use all these, you can apply all these um, features to it, and you can add something more to it also. So improve emotional intelligence. So here you have to improve your own emotional intelligence. This is also very important. Emotional intelligence plays a huge part. So first of all, we need to be free from many from our vulnerabilities. We need to be free from our stress factors. Then only we can give our 100% to the other person, isn't it? Or we can give, we can pay attention to other people. So emotional intelligence, sometimes also called emotional quotient, is your ability to identify emotions and use them in ways that improve your life. First of all, we need to improve our life, then only we can improve the life of others. So first you need to do justice to your own self. You need to be aware of your own problems and address them. Then only you can do justice to the other person. For example, for people with high emotional quotient, they know how to relieve their own stress as well as to de-escalate heated arguments. Emotional quotient also enhances your ability to empathize with others, since it involves recognizing and understanding their emotions. Okay. So now, how do we develop our emotional intelligence? So there are 4 factors to it. So if you want, you can write down those 4 factors. First is self-management. Second, self-awareness. Third, social awareness. Fourth, relationship management. So again, I'll repeat the 4 attributes associated with emotional intelligence are self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, and relationship management. So now let us take one by one. So improving your self-management by learning ways to cope with stress. So you have to do your own, have to manage your own stress. You have to cope up with your own stress. Stress can make it difficult for you to be present, impairing your ability to assess emotions and social situations. So this can be a big drawback. It impairs your ability to assess. So there should be self-management. You need to take care of your own problems, cope up with your stress. So learning a few stress relieving strategies is an important part in enhancing your emotional quotient. And I think this should be done on a daily basis, on a regular basis, because we do not realize there are arguments, conflicts at home, at your workplace. And today's world is full of deadline driven, performance driven, that your anxiety, it keeps on piling up. And we do not realize this. And I think stress is a very major part of uh, the diseases and bodily problems that are arising. So this is not only you have to do for to empathize with other people, but even on a regular basis, your performance will increase. You have to regularly, like how we early in the morning very mechanically we go to the toothbrush, we get hold of a toothbrush and clean our teeth. So when you need to clean your internal system, your emotions. I hope you all agree with it. I hope you all agree with what I'm saying, that every day a lot of stress piles up. Even right now, when you're sitting in this class, I'm sure you must be having hundreds of different things going in your mind. That, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to finish this assignment. So even now, when you're sitting and listening to my class, you are not stress free. If someone is stress free, please raise hands and we would like to know how come. But I think majority of them, you are going through your personal crisis, your so many factors, and here you're attending on how to empathize with other person. First, you need to empathize with your own self, sympathize with your own self. Charity begins at home. You have to love yourself, first of all. I hope you all agree with me. You have to love yourself, then only you love others. You will give that love to other people, to others, isn't it? So uh, you have to Practice relaxation techniques, deep breathing to stay calm, meditation. You must have heard these things hundreds of times, but we never practice. We always procrastinate. We say, oh, we'll be doing it tomorrow, day after tomorrow. But no, you have to do it right now. You have to take this resolution that the first class of this soft skill. See, this class has been organized for your betterment so that you uh, excel in whatever you're doing. Okay, so the first part is improving your self-management. Now, second is self-awareness. So you have to, again, these are all correlated. Heighten self-awareness. You have to be self-aware what is going in your mind. You have to, if you're not aware of your own self, how will you be aware of the other person's situations? So you can use this. Are you upset? Are you anxious? You have to find out what caused that problem. You need to nip it in the bud. So you need to practice the self-awareness. Third is increase social awareness by focusing on other people. A lot of time we are just self-involved. We do not know what is going around, but you have to have an increased social awareness by focusing on other people. So you have to be present with whoever you're interacting with. What's their body language like? Is there a topic that keeps circling back to? What is being said? So many things. See, there are so many things you need to do. You need to manage your own self. You need to be self-aware. You need to be socially aware and self-aware. And I'm sure with this past life, we have lost a grip of our own self. We have forgotten when to smile, when to relax. I think today, go and meet a friend, or just give your mother a hug and appreciate someone. So connecting the social awareness to your self-awareness. Is this person saying or doing something that is stirring your emotions? Maybe their body language is putting you at ease. So when you are talking to the other person, you also have to be aware what is happening to you. Okay. Then last is manage relationships. Use conflict resolution skills to manage relationships. This is very, very tricky. Managing relationships, conflict resolution, these all come under soft skill. And when we hear these topics, we feel this is so easy. Conflict resolution, what I care. But no, it's a very tricky area. When you're interacting with your friend, with your colleague, with your family members, disagreements are bound to rise. But what do? We just leave those disagreements there itself. No, you have to address it. You have to finish it off. You don't have to keep it lingering. You might have differing opinions on so many things, but you need to accept. Either, if it is not being solved, you have to accept, agree to disagree. That's the phrase, isn't it? Last is exploring new perspectives. I think this is very interesting. When I read this point, I found it very, very interesting. Exploring new perspectives. Now, how will that help you to build your empathy? Can somebody tell me? Exploring new perspectives, because it's been so long, I am speaking, you all have not contributed, participated. If somebody would like to say something, exploring new perspectives, how do you think that will help you to build your empathy? No? No one would want to intervene? Okay. Either you have followed everything or you have not followed anything. I hope it's the former rather than the latter. So, exploring new perspectives. Now, what do you mean by that? See, we all are different. We do not share the same taste, same liking. And generally, what happens? We empathize with people with who are similar to us. Okay, people whom we are comfortable. But here, you have to get out of your comfort zone, get out of the social circle where you are familiar with. You have to go out, because not everyone has the same opinion as you are. Not everyone thinks the same way as you are. There are different people. it takes all sorts of people to make this world. This world is full of different, several different kinds of people with caste, class, language, color, race, ethnicity, so many things. So it can't be that you will empathize with the people of your social background, of people with your religion, people who speak the same language as you do. No, you can't do that, because empathy is an emotion which crosses all these barriers. It goes beyond that. It connects beyond this similar world. And that's what is the beauty of this planet Earth of humor. Just take the case of our country. So many cultures, languages, all these things. Now, if it's like I will give you example of my college, because we are social work college. So we have a lot of NGOs who come to for placement. So they can't say that we will take only those students who are similar to us. No, that NGO, that non-government organization will come and talk to everyone. They can't take just people of their choice, or people who speak their language, or people who belong to their religion, their caste. How do you cross it? So actively expose yourself to new perspectives. If you are an atheist, attend a religious ceremony. Talk to people who are religious. If you are religious, talk to people who do not believe in God. You have to, because supposing you come across a person, you have to empathize with who maybe you are religious and he's not. How will you deal with it? You can't say because you don't believe in God, that's why you have that problem. No, you can't do that, isn't it? So you have to come out of your comfort zone and explore new perspectives. And exploring new perspectives would mean you have to go and actively join other groups, socially interact with people from different diverse backgrounds. If you are used to city life, spend some more time in rural communities. You have to you have to not just look for common ground, but also acknowledge differences. If you're politically conservative, listen to podcasts that present a liberal perspective. You don't necessarily have to agree with every perspective you come across, but then you should be able to deal with such people. However, taking the time to listen, to simply listen with an open mind, can help you see the humanity in people with different backgrounds or views. You don't have to agree or disagree to what they're saying, but just listening them with an open mind. This is very important, with an open mind. Half of the time our minds are closed. Minds are closed due to all these barriers, barrier of language, barrier of caste, creed, so many things. You have to open up. Then only you can empathize. Second is, of course, meeting people. But you can also, I think most of you all read books. You should read books. And so if you're enjoying fiction, and even that can help you to explore new perspectives. Can somebody tell me how this can help us? Books, how can they change your perspectives?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, actually, when we read books, the books, in books, there are ideas of the author, different author write their perspective in the book. So when you are reading books, now you understand different perspectives. So this is also like, the topic which you are discussing now, exploring new perspectives. So when you are reading books, you are uh, uh, understanding, trying to understand new perspectives, and you are seeing the world with their eyes exactly.
True. Very, very beautifully said. Somebody else would like to share? Okay, after I finish my presentation, we'll do a little discussion on what we will, you all can, in the meantime, you can think of some books where you can suggest to the participants which books helped you in changing your perspective or reforming, whatever. So you can keep some books ready in mind, and you can keep some examples in mind, whatever I've taught, whatever I've presented, you can share. See, this should not be one-way process. There should be two-way process. If I'm speaking and you're not saying anything, this class would be meaningless. So after, I think this is the last point I'm going on. After this, we'll have a small discussion. So enjoying fiction, even engaging with the perspectives of fictional characters can enhance your empathy. When you're reading a book, you're reading a novel, you're reading a story, you are entering that character's worldview. As you read a novel, you try to understand a character's motives, goals, and emotional states. For that, you have to pick up a very good writer who brings across the emotions very correctly. Uh, he's painting a picture through his words, isn't it? It is self-explanatory, and I've seen a lot of authors who, when they are expressing the character's emotions, they go on. It runs into several pages. So that's very beautiful. You can tell me some examples of such authors. So it's not just in one page. I've seen that it runs across 2-3 pages. That means you have to read that how he is presenting his emotion, what devices he is doing, he's using that, how it is being conveyed, and what impact it has on you. So in other words, you are exercising your ability to empathize. So when you're reading, you are engrossed in that character. So that is also your ability to empathize with that person. The same is true whenever you watch a character-driven television show or movie. So not just books. These days, you're also into, you watch serials, and so there are a character-driven television show or movie. Consider embracing novels, movies, and other works of art made by people from different cultural backgrounds. So don't just read or watch a movie from your own cultural background. Try different languages. These days, subtitles are also available. Okay. Be willing to question your own assumptions. You have to question your assumptions, and you have to keep doing that. You have to keep reforming your mind. See, we have so many. The other day, I was discussing this with a friend that these days we have so many beauty parlors and so many beauty products coming to, which keep on telling us how to keep our skin moisturized, how to have, yeah, nutrition, food, good food. But nobody starts talking about the mind. There are not. There is very less thing offered which gives food for thought. How to keep on refreshing your mind, improving your mind, transforming your mind, because your mind is everything. You are what you think. So unless you keep on reforming your thoughts, you'll not be a renewed person. Every day you have to be a renewed person. You can't be what you were yesterday. Do you agree with me? Yes, do you agree with me? Isn't it? Today you have attended this class. Yesterday you didn't have this class on empathy, but you have attended this class. So this should add to your knowledge, add to your wisdom, and today you should be a little better person or different person from what you were yesterday. Otherwise, attending this class would be meaningless. So your education is not just a piece of paper. It is building of character. New education policy says that education should focus on character building. Character, if you have a good character, you will empathize. All these things will fall into its place. So be willing to question your assumptions. As you engage with people of different backgrounds, you will likely find that many of your earlier notions of them were inaccurate. We have a lot of prejudices in our mind, and we are not addressing those prejudices. That is as bad as any disease in our body. Even in our mind, we have to have a healthy mind in a healthy body. It's okay to admit being wrong. Frame it as a learning experience. You have to question your established assumptions, your prejudices, which you've been thinking since childhood. And you have to have your own independent views. You may learn books, you may have a lot of other teachers, but then ultimately you have to form your own opinion. You can also begin to question your assumptions in daily situations. So, as I sum up, I would like to again repeat. So these were the 5 points which I thought are necessary for developing your empathy. First one was you have to have your uh, explore your vulnerability. Second, you have to develop your listening skills. Third was that you had to pay attention to body languages, by body language, your non-verbal cues. The next was exploring new empathies, new perspectives, and one was, which I forgot, improve your emotional intelligence. So these are, and you can also share what other ways you can, because it is not that these are the only ways. There will be many different ways. If you have something you can share with in this class, and the kind of empathy we're looking for is compassionate empathy. I've in the beginning of my presentation I've said that there are three types of empathy: cognitive empathy, emotional empathy, and compassionate empathy. Cognitive empathy is just empathy by thought, just perspective taking. In emotive empathy, you become too emotional, but in compassionate empathy, you find the right balance. And compassionate empathy means eh, placing yourself in that person's position and taking action. Taking action is the important part. If you just feel for that person and you walk away, what's the use? Then that is just sympathy. That will not be empathy. So empathy would require, empathy is always, it should be action oriented. Okay. So
Dear participants, if you
this
have
was
any questions, please unmute yourself and ask. The forum is open for the discussion. If you have any queries, kindly unmute yourself. The forum is open for discussion now.
you can also you can also show me your faces, because I didn't know I was who I was
Yeah, you
addressing
can
to.
turn on
You
your
can
videos as
come up.
well. Yeah. Yes.
Can you share? Have you ever been in a position where your friend required, where you required to apply your empathetic part? Can you share something? See, unless you share or you participate, this class would not be complete.
Uh, Ma'am, good morning, ma'am. Myself, Tilak from Bhopal.
Yes.
Actually, ma'am, as you were talking about the book that which book you have read and which help you to understand new perspective. So I would like to suggest a book to everyone that there's a book of Mr. Shiv Khera, You Can Win. I have read
Okay.
this book, and in that book there are so many anecdotes. There are so many short stories based on real life. Which help you a lot in changing your perspective exactly. And I would like to also mention that there's a story of a field of diamonds. So there was a man who
Hmm.
used to, cultivate the farm, but somebody told him that there's a diamond and you should have, if you have this much of diamond, you can buy this. If you have a bigger one, you can buy that and all. So he left his field, he sold his field and he left in search of diamond, and somebody else bought his land for cultivating only, and he started cultivating. One day in the field when he was irrigating his farm, he got that uh, diamond. So the whole field was full of diamonds. So there are two perspectives. One, when you search, when you leave your own place in search of diamonds, and you get nothing. And the man who bought that land for cultivating exactly, or for agriculture purpose, he got all the diamonds of that particular farm. So there are so many stories like this which can change your perspective. So the book is really very good, and I suggest that everyone should read it.
I hope everyone has heard, understood the name of the book. If you want, you can again repeat it. The name of the book.
You Can Win, ma'am, by Shiv Kheda.
You Can Win by Shiv Khera. So you all can try this book. Any other serial, or lately you've seen any serial movie where you felt for that character? Is there anyone where you became involved in that character's pain?
There was a recent movie on Baipan Bhari Deva. It was quite feminist,
Yes.
and we all, our friends, happened to go to the theater, and we all have seen it. So, by through watching at the time, what happened is that everyone had their own reflection as a part of their experiences in their lives. So that movie, I feel that it is quite touching, and everyone had their own perspective of their own lives actually. So this was
True,
also one of
true.
the very heart touching movie, I feel so, for me.
So then we started empathizing for all women. Maybe
Yeah,
men started empathizing for women.
exactly. They're seeing their lives from that point of lenses actually. So it was
Correct,
quite
correct, correct.
quite influential
That was a
movie.
good example.
Yeah.
Very
Okay,
good
ma'am.
example. Somebody else can share? Yeah. Okay, I'm done with the presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes. Yes. So I think you have justified the topic up to the mark and satisfied our participants. Your topic was full of content, ma'am. Thank you once again. And I extend my sincere thanks to the organizer and the coordinators of the program for their constant support and motivation to conduct the mega event of soft skill certificate course. I place on record to express my deep sense of gratitude to today's resource person, Dr. Nandita Mane Madam, for her scholarly discourse on a very influential topic, empathy development. Thank you very much, ma'am. My earnest thanks to our dear participants for actively participating in this program. Tomorrow, we will join at the same time for the next upcoming insightful presentation by a very eminent resource person, Dr. Deepti Jain Thakre Madam, on the topic Effortless English, the New Way. So, with this, I end up here for today's session. An important announcement to all the participants that all the participants need to solve the multiple choice questions given in the Google form tomorrow of today's presentation as a part of your assignment based on today's presentation. So these MCQs given in the Google form will be forwarded soon in the group after the presentation. So kindly solve them. So dear participant, meet you tomorrow. Till then, stay connected and goodbye. Thank you so much, Nandita ma'am, for sparing your valuable
thank you.
contribution. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.